One of my clients asked me, Amy, why is it that the narcissist just can't apologize? What makes it so difficult for narcissists to just simply say that they are sorry? I want to share with you what I told this individual, just in case it's helpful for this community. Again, these answers or observations come from my own experience with a narcissist that was very close to me. They also come from a lot of research and study and reading that I've done on my own. So not saying that they are what the DSM would say, or they're from a medical professional. But as someone that's done a lot of research, here's my take. So one of the things that goes on for the narcissist is that if they apologize for something that they've done, they are admitting fault. And if they're admitting fault, they're saying essentially, I was wrong. And it's really hard for a narcissist to say, I'm at fault, I was wrong, because the narcissist has an identity often that's wrapped up around being perfect. The narcissist wants to believe that they're smart, they're capable, they have a big ego, they're kind of better than other people, they have the answers. And so it's really difficult for them to admit fault and say, I made a mistake or I failed, because that just kind of sends their system into a tailspin. They really pride themselves on being perfect. A lot of them have a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset. And so it's difficult for them to say, I screwed up in that one moment, because they don't want to be seen or have that be remembered or be viewed as anything other than perfect. They've got this big desire for perfectionism. Now, most of us are people that aren't narcissistic, accept that, hey, we're all just human, we're going to make errors, we can't be perfect, progress is more important than perfection anyway. The narcissist really doesn't have that. Another reason that I think it's hard for the narcissist to apologize is that they are very focused on being needed by the people that they sort of prey on or they interact with. And so if they say they're sorry, then you, the person that's interacting with them, doesn't have to view it as your fault anymore. They've said that it's their fault, so you don't have to think about how you're sorry and how you were wrong and how you need to get better. And so they want to keep that power dynamic with them holding all the cards. So if they don't say they're sorry, but sort of make it seem like you shouldn't have done something, then you're the one that has to do the work. And the narcissist likes to view themselves as a finished product. They don't want to have any work to do. And so they would much rather keep the tables flipped where you end up being the one to apologize, and they're sort of saying, yeah, maybe I didn't react the best, or I should have responded in a better way, but I'm not going to really admit that. I'm not going to ever say that out loud. I'm not going to really spend a lot of time thinking about that, because what I'd rather do and what would feel better for me is to have the other person thinking about how, well, they shouldn't have provoked me, or they shouldn't have done what they did to lead to me having that response. Yeah, I like that better. It's not always easy to admit that we were wrong. It doesn't always feel good. Sometimes there's some pain and hurt in saying, hey, I really screwed up here. This is my fault. I want to own this. And the narcissist shies away from pain. They don't feel like they should have to hurt. They don't like to struggle. And so if they can keep the attention on you and have you thinking that you're in the wrong, you apologizing, you doing all the work to change, then they don't have to. And that's a much better return for them and a much better value proposition for them. I think the third reason is that the narcissist sort of has an insecurity with all of this going on. Many of them, you actually look at them and they behave in these very egotistical, like I'm the best sort of ways. But actually underneath, what's been said is that they can be deeply nervous or anxious or worried or fearful that you'll figure them out, that somehow you won't need them and you'll actually move on and move past them, and that they're not as useful. And so I think a lot of the reason you see narcissists often talk down to people or be condescending or have so much judgment or actually always be telling you a better way to do things is they want to feel needed. They need to stay in this place of power. And so if they can keep you feeling like you made the mistake, you were the one that caused the problem, you are the one that erred, then you are beholden to them. You are dependent on them. And that feels good to them, that like, oh, I'm so needed, I'm so useful. And so if they say, you know what, I screwed up, I'm really sorry, if they do that more than a couple of times, you might actually figure out that they're not really very valuable, or they're not very good, or at least that's what they think. And so they want to keep you coming back, thinking that you need them. So if they can keep you working on yourself, hey, you're in progress, cantankerous. You need to improve. You're the one that, like, you're not really being very good to me. You're not really being a great daughter, a great spouse, a great girlfriend, a great boyfriend to me. You're the one that has a lot of development to do. Then you're sort of like, oh God, yeah, I'm not very good. I'm not very deserving. You won't leave them. And I think at the heart, a lot of narcissists actually are really worried about being left. They sort of thrive on having control of situations and getting other people to do what they want. So if you walk away from them, all of that is gone. And so they sort of need you to be thinking that you're the one, again, the work to do, you're the one causing the problems. And so if they can keep that position, you in that, then you're not likely to abandon them, which would feel bad to them. So it's a focus on perfectionism. It's a desire to have control. It's a fear or a worry that you'll wise up and actually walk away and move beyond them. It's an avoidance of pain or hurt from having to actually deal with feeling at fault and having things to be in their control. And it's wanting to reshift and to move the energy and put the focus on something other than themselves. At the end of it, most narcissists are very dependent on other people. They need other people so that they can feel good. They need you to call them. They need you to show up for them. They need you to continue to play kind of the game with them. They pride themselves on being, again, smart and intelligent and the one with the answers. And so that only works if they've got people to interact with. And so the dependency is there on you helping them feel okay and you making them all right, because it's really hard for them to be self-aware and humble and go through their process of doing their own work. And so, again, it's like, if I admit that I'm wrong, maybe this whole house of cards, this pile of dominoes just kind of falls apart. I can't have that. So I cannot admit or show weakness or fault. Again, this might change everything. And I need it to stay this way because of this whole system I've created in my mind. And so very hard for the narcissist to apologize. They don't like to do it, even in cases where you can say from afar, you are obviously blatantly at fault here. They're always trying to kind of put the ball back in your court, or at a minimum, if they don't go on the attack or don't try to flip it around, they try to change the subject and deflect. It's a very common tool of like, ooh, why are we going to talk about that? That's in the past. That wasn't that important. Or are we still on this? Like, why can't you just forgive me for it? It wasn't really that big of a deal. You're overreacting. They kind of minimize the fact that it took place in the first place because, again, if they can do that, they don't have to deal with themselves. They don't have to do any work. They don't have to focus on how they're not quite getting it perfect or right. And that's what they need to have happen for them to be okay. Narcissists are, they're called toxic people. They're obviously very challenging people. And it's a large degree for reasons and things like this. And so if you're interacting with a narcissist, you feel very offended, insulted, disrespected by something they've done. And what you're hearing from them is they've done nothing wrong. And if on top of that, you're hearing that you really did something wrong, be calm, be strong, stay with yourself, know that your own truth matters, listen to yourself, observe and notice your feelings, and don't just concede. I think that the more the narcissist is in patterns of behavior where they get what they want, the more often and to a greater degree that they'll do these kinds of things. And so letting it continue indefinitely never is really going to fix them or change them. And so finding a new script, a new narrative, a new response system in these moments is essential if you're actually wanting change. I wish anyone that's dealing with a narcissist that won't apologize the best of luck. For the person that brought this up to me, it's a very difficult, tough, hurtful thing. A lot of people tell me, oh gosh, I feel like I'm crazy when I'm interacting with a narcissist. And I lived that for a lot of years as well. And so I get it. I understand. You are not alone. So thanks for letting me share my opinions on this topic. With that, everybody make a great day. Enjoy.